The voters of Delaware have spoken, and you're going to continue to hear the American people speak, not just last night, but you're going to hear them speak loud and clearly come November.
So far this primary season, 8 incumbents, 5 Republicans and 3 Democrats have lost to challengers, and that sounds like a message to me, Cheryl.
Peter Barton, so many things to talk about with regards to the message of the Tea Party candidates. Peter, thank you very much, because it's all about taxes, folks. And taxes are playing a big part in this election season. So we asked the question, should the Bush tax cuts be extended for the rich? And now Wall Street asking for the elimination of the dividend tax. Should that happen? Joining us now for the great tax debate, on the left, Erica Payne, on the right, Todd Schoenberger. Erica, I'm going to start with you. Dividend-paying stocks are very popular, in particular, with retired folks in this country, because it's steady income. Why not suspend the tax on that income, even temporarily?
So let's just get straight exactly what's on the table. What's on the table is that anybody who makes under $250,000 a year, if you're a joint filer, $200,000 a year if you're a single filer, nothing will change. Okay, so if you're in that, nothing will change. And they're just going to kick it up a little bit for people making more than that, which I think is perfectly appropriate.
But what I'm talking about in particular here, Todd, is the dividend tax. Yeah. I mean, these are, let me go to Todd on the same question, dividend-paying companies. A lot of them you know very well, a McDonald's, a Johnson & Johnson, companies that give steady income to folks. That's why they own the stocks. They depend on that income.
That's right. And there has also been some discussion that how this would also benefit the equity market as far as increasing the household balance sheet, and also any other, because this would be a tax savings. Clearly, you're looking at increasing your discretionary income, and small businesses really need that right now. We need more money into the pockets of consumers so that they can go out and spend. That is actually more patriotic than paying taxes right now.
And this is different, Erica, but this is different. I just want to say and have you respond to this, different than what we're talking about, the Bush tax cuts expiring for those that make $200, $250 more. This is a different tax. Why not take this route on the other side?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. It's all, so money is coming in, and it's either coming in because you're working for it, if you're a teacher or a firefighter or a normal person, or it's coming in because you're a trust fund baby and your parents invested some stocks for you and you're getting dividend payment. I personally would rather reward people who work for a living than reward Paris Hilton, who needs a tax cut about as much as she needs a new outfit.
Let's talk about rewarding people. Let's talk about ExxonMobil stock, Erica. The single largest shareholder of ExxonMobil is the teacher union. You want to penalize a 6th grade teacher in Topeka, Kansas, driving around in a Ford Focus.
It is
That's who you're hitting right now.
If you make less than $250,000 a year,
rich people
you
are rich,
will
and that's
not.
it. And you have Aston Martins all around. We're all sipping champagne. You want to penalize the rich people, but what you're doing is penalizing the person.
People who are making more than $1 million a year can certainly pay a little bit more into this system.
Paying a little bit more? What are you paying more? You keep going after guys like Lloyd Blankfein. You keep painting this picture of all these real wealthy people. Let's talk about how they got there. I mean, you talk about Lloyd Blankfein all the time on this show.
Here's
a guy that worked his way through college, worked at Yankee Stadium, and what, you want to penalize him for working hard?
All right, both of you one at a time. I just please ask you to please speak one at a time. And Erica, here's the point that I think Todd's trying to make, is that the teachers union, where'd you say it was again? Iowa, Todd? I mean, everybody can own a stock like a McDonald's. Everybody can own a Pepsi, and Eli Lilly, dividend-paying companies. So this is for everyone. This could be a tax break, Erica,
that is 100%
true.
And so what President Obama has suggested is that if you make under $250,000 a year, nothing changes. So all the money that you make from your dividends, it's going to be taxed exactly how it was taxed last year, the year before that. You know what I'm saying? So nothing changes. The only thing it changes for is people who make more than $250,000 a year. That income, which, by the way, is currently taxed at half of the rate of if you actually work for a living. Okay. So if I make $100 of dividend money, I'm going to get taxed at 20% under Obama's plan. But if I make $100 because I work for a living, that gets taxed at 39%.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
Why do you want to
And
reward?
you're right.
Erica, let Todd respond.
The person that's making $250,000 or more a year. Let's talk about the small business owner. Keep in mind, these
Here we go.
small business
hold on,
owners,
Erica.
the person that owns
Erica.
ExxonMobil, he owns a gas franchise, a UPS store. Think of a small business owner. 70% of job growth in this country comes from that small business
I
owner.
am
What
aware of
happens is the
that.
revenue that comes in is passed on as ordinary income to that individual because they got to pay themselves out each week. Plus, they're at regular payroll. Do you honestly think that the small business owner is going to go out and start hiring people right now, knowing that they are going to be facing with higher taxes down the road? It doesn't make any sense. You need permanent tax cuts, not tax credits, permanent tax cuts. That's the only way you're going to get job growth in this country.
President Obama has cut taxes on 95% of Americans. Small businesses, if you make in income more than $250,000 a year in your small business, which basically no small businesses do, it's about 2 or 3% of small businesses make more than $250,000 a year. Yes, you're going to have to pay a little more. You know why you're going to have to pay a little more? Because George Bush put on a war for $1 trillion that we couldn't afford.
That's right. And he
accurate.
walked into a war that we didn't ask for. Let's get into all of that. Plus, this economy was still on toothpicks at that time. Look, this guy, Obama, has actually, if you talk about the deficit run up that he has had, I mean, you go cumulative from George Washington all the way up to Ronald Reagan. This guy continues to spend.
President
Look, it doesn't
Clinton,
matter. I'm all for tax cuts, Erica. Hold on, hear me out here. I'm all for tax cuts. I'm all for tax cuts. The problem is that you have a president that continues to spend like he's a 16-year-old with daddy's credit card. It just doesn't work.
Talk about a 16-year-old with daddy's credit card.
1 in 6
George
Americans
Bush went
right now is on government
because
assistance.
he had some inferiority complex because of his father. He spent $1 trillion and countless American lives going to war because he had some issue with his dad.
Let's focus on the last 18 months and the current administration that has been in power, Erica.
95% of people got a tax cut, period.
Well, let me ask you this. A lot of these, okay, let's talk about stimulus. Let's talk about other issues that have come to, that have not passed yet. I mean, I know that the Senate passed the small business bill yesterday, but there are still a lot of things on the table that could stimulate the economy, Erica. And I go back to my original question about the dividends, companies that pay dividends, the dividend tax. How about a temporary suspension, Erica? 2 years.
Okay, so first of all, no, because we actually have to pay for some things in this country, like the fact that the economy just got wrecked. And if you look at spending, if you give a tax cut to people who make more than $1 million a year, economists have shown that that is the 11th most effective thing you can do to stimulate the economy. It's number 11. So why don't we first, before we do that, do the top 10 things we can do to restore the economy?
Okay,
Todd?
look, Christy Romer has actually, she did a study that points out that the mathematics are just there right now saying that the U.S. economy will increase $0 based on government stimulus. The only way you're going to grow this economy, is by cutting taxes.
The way that you're going to grow the economy is by stimulating demand. The way that you stimulate demand is to give a tax cut to 95% of Americans, which is exactly what President Obama has done.
In a situation that you are prolonging the Great Recession, if you will, of the 21st century.
Explain to me why you think that Paris Hilton needs a new outfit and needs a tax cut as a result of it. You conservatives walk around acting like you're every people, and all you do is cut taxes, and give every single person in this country who makes more than $1 million a year
Erica, what we're discussing,
benefits that they don't need.
But at the end of the day, Erica, what we're discussing here is the extension of tax cuts that have been in place since 2001 and 2003, and even some Democrats, some powerful names, have even come out just this morning and said, why raise taxes in an environment where the economy is in a negative territory right now? Maybe not growth-wise, but still, we're not keeping up with inflation. We're not keeping up with population growth when it comes to economic growth in this country. Why not just leave these tax cuts in place? Again, I go back to the 2-year example. Can't that be a compromise, Erica?
So definitely, let's leave the tax cuts in place for people who make less than $250,000 a year. Everyone is in agreement. What John Boehner in the House is trying to do is hold tax cuts for all of those people hostage so that his millionaire friends can get a tax cut.
Even John Boehner on Sunday Todd brought up the
Yeah,
issue that
John
possibly...
Boehner said that he may
And let's-
conceivably do it, and then
and
Mitch
let's get it out
McConnell
there, though.
immediately came out and said, hey, no, there's no way I'm doing
but
it.
Erica, John Boehner brought it up, though, because he's saying that's the only tax cut proposal that's being offered by the White House right now. So he's
Right.
willing to accept that and forego letting it for everybody, even though he's saying, look, it's still not going to really do very much for us overall. He needs an entire tax cut.
So,
and
would
I don't
you
know how many
prefer
people
that we
you know,
not extend
Erica,
the tax
that'll
cut
make it
to
50
people who
grand
make
that'll
less than
stimulate this
$250,000
economy.
a
Erica?
year? If
Erica?
everybody agrees with that, let's do that, and then we can argue about the millionaires later.
All right. Well, as long as we argue just one at a time, that's all I really ask, because I love having you both on the show. Great stuff. Stand by for 2 seconds. Rebecca Diamond, excuse me, has been very patient. Very patient. I want you to add into the discussion, Rebecca.
I would have to side with Todd because he makes the point that right now we need to focus on stimulating the economy. I mean, we had the manufacturing report out. Even though people got really excited about retail sales yesterday, we still have a long way to go. And the last thing people want, regardless of how much money you make, they don't want the government spending any more or taking any more of their money. And by taxing them, by lowering the dividend tax rate, they're keeping their own money.
All right, Erica Payne, thank you very much for joining us. This is always great to have you on this debate on Wednesday. Thank you, Erica.
Thank you, y'all.